Welcome, everybody. Welcome to FootyWit podcast. We don't know if we're going to call this one the EPL review because it's been a while we had the EPL review. The last time we had the EPL review on FootyWit podcast was last year. And beginning of this year, so many matches, because the EPL, they're trying to see how they can finish up quick time. So many matches are being played week in, week out. So we cannot really have a hold on to say this is the week that we're previewing. But definitely games went down today. Games went down yesterday. We're going to talk about some of the games. Like the regular, I'm not here alone. I'm always here with the Wolf pack. My name is Ehis Anthony. Welcome to FootyWit Podcast Football Gist Show. So, guys, how una day? Chimamaka, from you. Or from the lady. Apologies. Sorry, ladies first. Must be a gentleman. Come on. Samiat, how you doing?
Hi guys, it's good to be back. It's good to be back for the review episode again. It's good to be back here. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Chimamaka, arrange your face. I understand.
Okay. It's good to be back. Finally. It's good to be back, guys. I've missed every one of us, so it's good to be back again.
Yeah, Lope.
Always a pleasure to be here, man. I'm ready to go.
Yes, but before we start, I just wanted us to segue a bit to our Fantasy Premier League. I know some of our fans, some of our followers know that we have a Fantasy Premier League. The Fantasy Premier League started beginning of the season, and we could say that the Fantasy Premier League, FootyWit Fantasy Premier League, is proudly sponsored by AM Jersey. AM Jersey Sports Shop, where you can get all your accessories in terms of jerseys, phone cases, authentic matching, sport equipment, and accessories. The good thing is I'm on the FootyWit Fantasy Premier League as well, same as Chimamaka is, and Samiat as well. Okpe couldn't join. I don't know if he was scared, but the thing is, we're like 48 on the Fantasy Premier League, and I'll have to scroll down to even check my position because I can't even find myself.
Wow, that's his
It sounds like you're going on relegation.
See, man, I really don't know, man. Relegation battle. I'm trying to scroll down. I'm trying to scroll down, and I'm like, wow, I'm 45th position. I'm just one spot ahead of relegation.
That's terrible. That's
I don't know, man.
You're pulling in Sheffield United this season.
I'm really pulling 841 points. But good to see that because Ola FC was the one topping the FootyWit Premier League and Fantasy Premier League, and good to see that it has been hit up from that first position. The guy topping now is Common Wilfred Bunny. What kind of name is that? Common Wilfred Bunny.
Code name.
Yeah,
bro.
Code name, really. With 1,103 points. Wow, that's massive. Ola FC comes second, 1,902 points. Then Eliagsi, 1,091 points. But the thing is, it's good just for our fans to know that we have our own Fantasy Premier League, proudly sponsored by our partner AM Jersey Sports Shop, and the winner at the end of the season goes home with his favorite jersey, favorite sports or team jersey, complete. Good one from AM Jersey. And we say if you want to buy your accessories in Nigeria, anywhere, he ships it over to anywhere, be it Lagos, outside Lagos, be it Borno State, where Boko Haram is. Sorry, scratch that. Did I say that? He will deliver. So next season we'll be looking at having a bumper Fantasy Premier League, and we know it's going to be fun, really, really fun. Yeah. So straight up, let us just go into today's topic. We will be discussing, so many things to discuss. Premier League's new guidance on goal celebration, our team's compliant or deviant. Leicester City. We're going to look at Leicester City this on today's episode. Are they title contenders because they've kind of like scripted into the third position? And Marcelo Bielsa. It's a pity Tunde is not on the podcast today. Tunde is a fan, massive fan of Marcelo Bielsa, and also Chibuzo too, because they're always bigging up Marcelo Bielsa with his philosophy. We're going to just have a discussion around Marcelo Bielsa and also look at Lampard in Chelsea struggling with all the money spent. I mentioned it on the last episode of the podcast. Chimamaka didn't agree with me, but okay, it's all good. And also we'll talk about the Liverpool-Manchester United game. Trabi, anticlimax, stalemate, sour game that happened. I'm so sorry, Samiat. I know you're a Manchester United fan, but that's just the way it is, man. And before we move on, we'd like to correct something we mentioned in the last episode where we said Mesut Ozil was part of the Champions League team in 2013-2014 for Real Madrid. So we'd just like to correct that. I think it was that year he moved to Arsenal. And he wasn't part of the, yes, exactly. He wasn't part of the Champions League. He wasn't part of the Real Madrid team that won the Champions League with Ancelotti that year. So guys, let's start. Quick one. The Premier League new guidance on goal celebration. We saw celebration happen yesterday and today. The only people that were kind of like compliant with was Leicester City. Madison celebration. Does anybody want to start with that?
Yeah, it was pretty funny at first. When I saw James Maddison's reaction, I thought it was intentional, and then I remembered the rule. But first of all, I think the rule is quite ridiculous. It's very hard for players to control their emotions and then their reactions. I think the next thing after this is probably them being told not to spit or not to snort on the pitch.
Yeah.
And that's almost difficult because, the humid conditions definitely would make them want to do that. So I don't know if stopping their celebrations would actually reduce the number of positive tests, because at the end of the day, look, these are guys, they are best of friends. They will still shake, they will still hug, even if you don't see it on camera, probably in the locker room, during training, these things happen. So I don't even buy the rule at all. I think eventually it will be absconded.
Samuel, before you chip in, the social distancing, the enhanced COVID-19 protocols, say social distancing whenever possible while traveling, in the dressing room, during warm-ups, when entering and leaving the pitch, at all times with match officials, and during goal celebration. We saw in most of the matches yesterday, the match, except for the Leicester City match, but the other matches, we saw how they were hugging. And Chelsea, we saw the Chelsea players also when Mount scored the winner for Chelsea. We saw the celebration, the hug. Do you think teams will be really, really compliant to this?
Is almost like a simultaneous reaction. You score a goal, you want to celebrate. I think it's going to be very hard. It's not going to be very easy. And most of these players, before coming to the field, they have gone through a series of tests. They have gone through tests and tests, asking them to come to the field again. And it's just killing the game. The morale, the fans are not there. The sound is not there. And now you can't even watch players celebrate. It's killing the morale of the game. And it's just crazy. I know some players are still going to celebrate. It's still going to happen because it's just like something they can't control. You score a big goal and just before you even realize that we are not supposed to do this, you're already running to hug somebody or something.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a while if the rules are meant to be taken seriously. It's going to take a while before it's fully complied with.
Chimamaka, we saw West Brom. The Black Country Derby. The Black Country Derby. We saw West Brom struggling to win. And you saw them winning yesterday, winning Wolves at home. And you expect them not to hug and, celebrate the goal. Is that easy? Because for me, that will go out of the window. I'll even forget because of the spur of the moment thing,
Yeah. I totally agree with everything everybody has said. It's not going to be easy. And first, from my own opinion, I feel this gesture is going to be killing the passion in the game. It's going to actually take the love of football off the pitch of play. Now imagine Sheffield United, who are sitting at the end of the table with 5 points, and eventually they beat a Liverpool team, and you say they shouldn't hug. I don't know how robot-like that sounds. It's not going to be easy. It's more like impossible. Yes, we saw Leicester City do it yesterday. But we're talking about celebration and not hugging. Are you going to tell me that they will eventually tell us that football is no longer a contact sport?
But because of the times that we're in, COVID-19, second wave, I think that's what they're trying. To be fair, just to balance things. Yeah.
Hugging and coming in contact with somebody. Let's like we saw what happened with Wolverhampton when Raul Jimenez was hit in the head by David Luiz. Are you going to tell me that is not a contact? Now, won't they go for aerial duels? So these are kind of things that you cannot rule out of the game. If they are not celebrating or touching each other, then they should more or less not touch any other person on the pitch apart from the football. So it's second to impossible as it stands for the game. You cannot take this off the players, no matter how they try. Some people will float it. They will have to break such rules. So it has to be addressed actually, or taking off the whole rule book.
Yeah, but the rules have been set though. Use hand sanitizers pre and post match. Use your own water bottles. Avoid spitting or nose clearing. No handshakes or hugging. No shirt swapping. We saw Thiago Silva throwing a jersey to one of the guys in the stand yesterday. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's going to be penalized.
Yes.
I think there's been talk of him being penalized for that.
Oh, okay. So, for me, I understand what they're trying to curtail because we know even in Nigeria here, the second wave is really hitting hard, and we know how everybody's trying to stay safe. And I guess they try their best to ensure football still remains so that people don't get bored at home. So why don't you just want to take all the measures to see how you can stop the spread of. So if they say no goal celebration, for someone to have done it, for the Leicester City players to have done it, that could be a precedent for others. Yes, I know it's not easy, but it can be a precedent for others. What do you guys think? So it doesn't look as if I'm the only one supporting the enhanced COVID-19 protocol.
Yeah, look, it could become a precedent, but then is that what we want to see from football? I mean, just like Chimamaka said, are we going to get to a point where they tell us that football is not a contact sport? Then how do you expect to get the ball off your opponent? I mean, what's going to happen to players who love to get physical? You know, that could affect a player's style of game, and you need players like that in the game, really. I mean, players like that are inevitable. So it's really ridiculous right now. I think the only thing we can hope for is for the fact that COVID-19 would get a cure as soon as possible, and then the virus even just disappears, because we probably just need a miracle, to be honest. We don't need this because it's affecting every facet of life. I mean, first of all, we already don't have the fans in the stadium. And it has a ripple effect for these clubs, not making money from ticket sales anymore, not making money from merchandise, not making money from food. Look, it affects a lot of clubs financially. And then it's starting to affect the game deep down. Samiat mentioned that, look, these players go through tests already. Before, Premier League teams only did one round of testing during the week. Now it has been increased to 2. I mean, what else do you basically want from them? These players live in a bubble. Since last year, and it's not so easy. It's difficult for them because they are also responsible to their families. They already risk their lives playing football, so why not just allow them enjoy what they do instead of making all these rules and regulations? In terms of swapping shirts, one of the games yesterday, I mean, the players, they went into the tunnel before they actually swapped shirts. They didn't allow themselves be seen on camera. I mean, swapping shirts, that's like a sign of respect between players in opposing teams. So all these things are part of COVID is kicked out of the world as soon as possible. But eventually, if COVID remains for a period of time, just like you said, Ehis, we might see this as a norm.
Yeah, it might be a norm. So let's just stick with the team that were compliant to the new to the enhanced COVID-19 protocols set by the Premier League. Leicester City, emphatic win yesterday against Southampton, a resurgent Southampton. Before that match came up yesterday, there was this mental check, like a mental block on the side of Southampton. Is 9-0 mauling going to happen again? But yesterday we saw Southampton coming all out, to take the game to Leicester City. But it's just that, Leicester City were just too much for them. But the question is, Chimamaka, are you seeing Leicester City to be considered as title contenders?
Well, yeah, they are, because it's actually so easy. They were winners of the EPL 2016, 2017, if I'm right, season. So you can't just rule them out. And if you look at them last season, even after the restart, they were sitting at the top 3 of part of the table. Eventually, they had a slide down the table. Eventually, but you cannot rule this out, because you realize there's actually consistency with trying to sit at the top 4. They are changing the face of the top 4, top 6, whatever it's called. Now you don't have a guaranteed top 4 any longer. It only tells you that the competition is coming out. So Leicester City, as they are a team that is growing to become something. Let's not forget, we are talking about Liverpool right now, because we know who Jurgen Klopp is, and we know what Liverpool Football Club is. So it took him 4 or 5 years to build this team to what they are. Let's not also forget that Brendan Rodgers has been in Leicester City for 4 years. So if he has been there for 4 years and he cannot fight his way through to the top 4 part of the table, then he's a failure.
Has it been there for 4 years?
Yeah, already. He's done 4 years already. This is 40 already. So if he's doing this already there, what are we talking about? It only tells you that yes, he has a project he's working with, and we are beginning to see results. Last season they were in the top 5. They were playing. They are playing in Europa League. This season they are trying to stake their name in playing in the Champions League. It means it's a progress.
Chimamaka, so now I think you're mistaking Brendan Rodgers for someone else. It took over 2019, just 2 years now.
2 years.
It was at Celtic 2016 to 2019.
Oh, sorry.
I think you're mistaking it for someone else.
Exactly. I'm sorry about it. But if he's been there since 2019, and this is 2021, then it means he's going 3 years on the project. But even with 3 years on the project, and he's actually last season he played in Europe, or he qualified for Europe, and this season he's also trying to qualify for Europe. It means it's a success story for him. Yeah, he came from Celtic. Celtic also played in Europe for a season or so before we didn't find them any longer there. But as it stands, it's a success story for Leicester City. So I see them actually making the top 4 if they choose to remain there, because the competition this season is higher than expected.
But let me just take this to Okwe and Okwe. Leicester City, they were there last season before the pandemic, before the break. I think they were in the top 4, right? And after the pandemic, resumption of football after pandemic, the coronavirus, and we saw them slump down to Europa League sport. And he's still with this same set of players. And now you see him in the second position, because after the draw against Manchester United, after the draw between Manchester United and Liverpool, he sees Leicester City holding that second position real tight. But do you see them bottling the season again?
Right now, I don't see them bottling, because I take a look at the start of the season. They started without the Nigerian midfield general right now, Wilfred Ndidi. And then if you see the improvement since Ndidi came back into that squad, you would know that this Leicester City squad is getting stronger and stronger. Mind you, I love the fact that Chimamaka brought up the factor of Brendan Rodgers. Now, that's someone who was probably outed at Liverpool at a time where he was he was at the climax of a project which he was building, and sadly the owners did not believe in him, and I don't blame them really. After he spent about £60 million, and then he wasn't able to piece up that squad that he then promised them the season before. However, he did learn his lesson, went over to Scotland, had a brilliant time at Celtic, won 3 domestic titles back to back, and then coming to the Premier League with Leicester City, the owners agree with the project that he's doing. And you take a look at the current crop of players that he has added to the squad that was so beautiful last season. Mind you, this same, or rather, apart from some players in this current Leicester City side, this squad beat Southampton 9-0, just like you had mentioned. And then they were holding down the top four. Exactly, up until the last day of the last season. And that was when Manchester United just took the spot. And now football fans are just wishing that Leicester City just held on to that Champions League spot. Now that we've seen Manchester United crash out to the Europa League. But nevertheless, it's about now. And then let's take a look at this team currently. Jamie Vardy is firing, all guns blazing on all cylinders. So you take a look at it, James Maddison coming back from injury, he's been so pivotal to them. Harvey Barnes has been in a brilliant run of form. Jose Perez, Soyuncu at the back has been brilliant. The 19-year-old from Saint Etienne, Wesley Fofana, has been a revelation for them. Yes, he has had a few mistakes, but you know that this guy is young. He's got the potential. The more games he plays, the more he improves. So Leicester City as a whole, they've also shown that they can be able to be flexible. They've started playing with the three at the back as well. We've seen the inclusion of Christian Fuchs back in the squad. And you know how important Christian Fuchs is as a left-footed centre-back. So many improvements in this Leicester City squad. They are a force to be reckoned with. And I won't be surprised if they have a top finish or even challenge for the title.
Samiat, Manchester United stay top of the EPL at the moment, ahead of Leicester City. Leicester City is breathing down their neck. Do you see Leicester City contending this title? If it stays this way till the end of the season, do you see Leicester City contending with Manchester United? Or seeing them topping Manchester United?
Definitely. It's a rat race right now. It's a rat race. Anybody can sleep, anybody can go up. And this Leicester City team, as everybody has pointed out, they are in top form right now. They are grinding out the result, and that's what is important. The team is impact. If you watch them play, you see how they play. You know that they are working towards something. They have a goal they are trying to achieve. So it is definitely possible. It's a rat race right now. Anybody sleeps, anybody goes up right now. It's not certain for anybody at the moment right now.
Well, I mean, that rat race, is that the right word to determine this season's title race? Because, like, more than 6 teams have been top of the season this season, or have been top of the table this season already. Arsenal, yes. If you like, say Arsenal, Leicester City, Everton, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea at one point in time, So for me, this season, anybody can take it, man. I don't know if that's what you meant by rat race, but anybody can take it. Let's look at another team. I wish Tunde was on today's episode, on today's podcast, to come and defend Marcelo Bielsa. I would like Chimamaka to start with this. Marcelo Bielsa, is his philosophy a myth? Looking at how he has lost some games this season, with the style of his coaching, his managerial tactics, his discipline in terms of tactics as a manager, is it all a myth? Because look at how he lost to Brighton over an Albion yesterday at home. We were supposed to see them as contending this season, or given a push. They were highly rated. This season. But I don't know. Can you just comment there? Is his philosophy a myth?
It isn't a myth, actually. It's just that we've come to understand different styles of football, and with Marcelo Bielsa coming with he has this one-way pattern of play that everybody has come to discover. Now, what will make the pattern of play better is when the players get better at it. And secondly, you talked about we expecting so much from Leeds United because of what they did last season in the championship. Well, if you expect so much from such a team and they disappoint you, then you start feeling disappointed. First, let's not forget that EPL, as it stands, is not a joker for anybody. You come and show what you want. That is what it is like. So if you're going to do what Leicester City did, come into the EPL, then fight relegation the first season, second season you come and you win the EPL, then good luck to you. But first, with Marcelo Bielsa being there, I would actually let you understand that he understands I would side to name this. Marcelo Bielsa understands football. He understands gameplay. So he being there presently actually is not a myth. Now, the players he has are those to deliver what he's actually giving to them. You cannot tell me that because he has been at Leeds United for a certain period, they've not been good. We saw where they were in the championship.
Sorry for cutting you short. The myth I'm talking about is, a widely held but false belief or idea. Because you come at me and you tell me your philosophy, your football idea is this, is top notch, is gang pressing, invented this, is inventing that. And looking at, with all due respect to Marcelo Bielsa, looking at his record, it doesn't speak for that kind of manager that should be praised or given such adulation. I don't know if you guys get me. I'm not against Marcelo Bielsa, but the statistics is right here. We're looking at it. We're looking at his fixtures. We're still going to go into the fixtures, maybe when opponents come in or Samiat. But let me just let you continue. I just want you to understand. I just want you to let you understand where I'm coming from. I don't know if you get me.
No, I totally understand you. Let's not forget that we saw a Barcelona that played tiki-taka football. Please, who was the manager that coached them that brought about that? I want you to understand something. I said we all saw Barcelona, that is the Barcelona in the early 2010s, or the past decades. Yeah, in the past decade. We saw them play tiki-taka football, and we enjoyed every part of it. It is somebody's invention.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand that. It's somebody's invention. Because he worked with a Barcelona team doesn't mean that what Marcelo Bielsa has, if he has the right guys with the right frame of mind, it's not going to be implemented. So it's not a myth. All he needs to have is the right guys that is going to instill such ideas into, and you see it come into play. That's so. But when you say it, I wouldn't like to do it has worked for him and has been working for him. It worked for him in the championship. He came to the Premier League being top of a 26. Is it 26 or 28 team?
But he won't be the first person to do that. He won't be the first manager to do that.
He wouldn't be the first. No, he won't be the first person. But he played. Except you don't want to be frank with yourself. He played beautiful football. Even someone as good as Pep Guardiola could attest to that he played beautiful football. It's a style of play. It has worked for him. It has brought him back into the EPL. Let's only hope and believe that with this same style of play, in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, he can come up with a shocker in the EPL. And it is then we appreciate what he's actually doing. But as it stands, I wouldn't like to use the word myth. He's not a myth yet, because he still has so much time and so much things to offer.
Samiat, before Okwe comes in.
Yeah, Bielsa philosophy. I think it's a beautiful style of football. I love to watch this play. There are rooms for improvement. I like to side with Chimamaka. Is the team itself. The style of play is beautiful to watch. You have to just admire it. Yeah, he's not getting the result at the moment. Maybe if he has better caliber of players, yes, he will grind in the result. But the style of play is something that
during the transfer window, he mentioned that he was satisfied. He was okay with the set of players that he had already, and he wouldn't want to add.
He has trust in his team. But me, I just feel with a much solid defense, the attack line, you should watch this play. The attack line but that defense is just that bad.
That's what I'm saying. The way the opponent
it's the game, yeah. It's
the way the opponent just cuts them open.
Their style.
Yeah.
They are exposed at the back. I understand, but if he has a much better centre back at that back, it's going to be. It's not a myth. The philosophy it works. We have seen it. We have seen it against teams in the EPL, but I know he's not getting the result right now. But I just feel with a much better caliber of player, it's going to be a beautiful style to watch. and enjoy.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, let me just tell you that I hope Marcelo. No, I'm getting. So I hope that Marcelo Bielsa does not watch this recording because he'll come after you, Ehis, because you called his style of myth. So I have an answer. I have a question.
It's a question. I didn't imply that it is a myth. I asked, is it a myth?
Because is it a myth? Okay, so I have answers to that. Is Marcelo Bielsa's style of play, is it a myth? So I'm taking a look at his record so far in terms of achievements as a manager. We go to Argentina, Summer Olympics tournament 2004, got a gold medal, won the Cotton Bowl tournament with Argentina.
Had a gold medal with Nigeria.
Copa America runner-up in 2004 to a Brazil team which had Roberto Carlos, Adriano, Ronaldo Pizarro at that point in the team. They had Lucio and so many, and Dida, Cafu in that team. So that is good enough to be second to that kind of Brazilian team. Newell's Old Boys in the Argentinian professional football division, Primera Division, he won that. He also won Copa Libertadores. The Copa Libertadores is like the Champions League for Europe. Vélez Sarsfield, he won the Primera again. Talking about Athletic Bilbao, he short stints with them. Copa del Rey runner-up, UEFA Europa League runner-up, and then with Leeds United, he won the EFL Championship last season. So our local Bielsa style of football is not a myth. It has worked in the past. But just like Samiat said,
I understand all the stats. Sorry for cutting you. I understand all the stats you've churned out. But I don't see a Champions League in there. I don't see a World Cup in there. I don't see a Europa League title in there. Do you understand me? Do you get me?
Yes. It shows it works.
I'm not saying it didn't work, but you're coming into an EPL. Looking at the last couple of games that he played, do you understand? Against Crawley, FA Cup third round, he lost 3-0. He lost against Brighton yesterday, he lost against Crawley, he lost against Tottenham, hammered 3-0. Fine, you won at West Brom, though, struggling 5-0. Won against Burnley, struggling. Against Manchester United, he got hammered 6-2. This is what we're saying. Because if you're saying the philosophy is El Loco, whatever nickname you've called him, I need to see titles, the currency in football, man.
Okay, so this is the thing right here, and Samiat already mentioned one thing. It's the fact that this crop of players might not be able to play to the optimum level that is required of them by Marcelo Bielsa. Now, if Marcelo Bielsa was probably coaching the Barcelona squad of the last decade, or even this current Manchester City side, I believe he is someone who can be the best out of quality players. Now, what can he do in this transfer window? Yes, in the last summer transfer window, he was asked, are you okay with this crop of players? Look, Leeds United did fantastic business in the transfer window, judging by the resources that they have. Their scouting system is second to none as far as I'm concerned. You take a look at some of the players that helped Leeds United get promoted back to the Premier League. The crop of the players had to be Ben White, who went back to Brighton, and Brighton is using him fantastic. That's someone who can deputize as a defender and as a defensive midfielder as well. So he knows the type of players that he wants. Look at someone in Patrick Bamford. Patrick Bamford was someone who had no future at Chelsea, came over to Leeds United, and just see the way Marcelo Bielsa has turned him into a good striker. Take a look at someone like Rafinha. Who knew where Rafinha was actually? So he's bringing out gems. Look at Alioski, look at Harrison, and then look at what he has turned Calvin Phillips into. Calvin Phillips is probably an underrated defensive midfielder. That's someone that can read the game in a very intelligent manner. The last English player that I saw that played that way had to be Owen Hargreaves. So, he's doing great things with Leeds United squad. However, he still needs quality players to get things done. Yes, at the beginning of the season, Leeds United was started for probably a Europa League finish. But you know what? This is going to be a very, very long season. It's even a good thing that they got knocked out of the FA Cup, if you ask me. Now they can focus squarely on the Premier League, and then you can say that Bielsa has no excuse. January transfer window is here currently. They could do something. Rodrigo Moreno has not been so clinical in front of goal. They've not even allowed them to play top 9 because he's not as clinical as Patrick Bamford is. He has been playing behind Bamford. So probably they need another goal scorer, someone who can be as effective as Patrick Bamford. there are other areas of the pitch which they do need to address. Robert Koch, the German, hasn't been fantastic either, in my own opinion. He's been the cause of 3 penalties for Leeds United this season. So if they can get another solid centre back, who can help them just stand in the gap when the team is on full ultra attacking, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
You take a look at someone like Aileen, take a look at someone like Alioski. These players love to play high up the pitch. They do not want to defend. So if you have a solid defensive team like Calvin Phillips, all he needs is 2 solid centre backs who are good with the ball at their feet, who have pace with them, and who would help him defend when they are hitting the counter attack.
Okay, I understand what you're trying to say, but I just feel when we're talking about ideologies, when we're talking about football philosophy, a good example, Mourinho, we saw what he brought into the EPL when he came into the EPL. Yes, this was his philosophy, and everybody knew him for that. With all due respect, back in the bus, was it called? Right? His philosophy, where we'll sit defensively and hit you on the counter. And we saw the title that he gave to him. Guardiola, for example, Tiki Taka, he went to when he coached Barcelona, we saw the style of play, we saw the philosophy he brought in. Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson, we saw all this kind of philosophy, and we saw that he won them titles. The point where I'm coming from is, I'm not saying Marcelo Bielsa is not technically gifted, I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but looking at the number of years he has put into his managerial career and reeling out all those stats like you mentioned earlier, and I don't see a Champions League title, I don't see a World Cup title, I don't see a Copa Libertadores title, I don't see a Europa League title, I don't see a Premier League title. What I see is a championship. And championship that you're telling me, he wouldn't be the first person, he wouldn't be the first manager that has brought team from the championship into the Premier League. So you could understand the point. You could understand the point where I'm coming from. I don't know if you get me.
Okay, so you're talking about, I get you. So you're talking about the Champions League, but
I don't know why Chimamaka is quiet.
Which has been the biggest team that Marcelo Bielsa has coached? I believe the biggest team he has coached so far has to be the Argentinian national team. He did fantastically well with Chile. He did fantastically well with Chile, in my own opinion. Just that, fine, they didn't win a trophy, just like you said, but they went far in the 2010 World Cup, and then he built the foundation for them being so lethal now. I mean, he's the reason why you have the likes of Gonzalo Jara, Alexis Sanchez, Jean Bosejo, Vargas, all these players. They're the reason why Chile are what they are today, and he builds that foundation for them winning 2, what's it called now? What's the name of that tournament that's equivalent to the Euros now? That they play in South America.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. Copa
America, yes. So he's the person that builds that foundation for them to win 2 Copa Americas back to back. The biggest club side he has probably coached is arguably between Marseille in France and Lazio, and he had limited time in all these teams. If you put Marcelo Bielsa in an established top flight team, he will produce trophies for you. Another thing is the fact that Marcelo Bielsa is someone who is so rigid with his system. If you don't share his point of view, if you don't share his philosophy, there is no way you'll be able to gel together. The employers of Marcelo Bielsa over the years are people who have backed him up with his philosophy. It's as simple as that. It's the same with Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho was lured into Manchester United, and then at the end of the day, he found out that, look, this board, they're not going to back me up with what I want. I tell them I want a winger, they go and get me a defender. That's why he left Manchester United. But take a look at the project going on at Tottenham Hotspur currently. Daniel Levy has given Mourinho 110% backing. Any player he wants, he gets it. Look, that's the way football works these days.
Yeah, I understand. Exactly. But because of time, come on. Chimamaka, I don't know your video saying that. Your video has been going on enough, but we're about to talk about the next topic we're about to discuss is a coach who has been placed in the system where he has all the money, has been given all the money, spent over £200 million in the transfer window, and his video has gone off again. You need to come. We need to see your face because we saw them yesterday in the West.
I'm actually seeing you guys. I'm seeing you guys.
Okay, in the West London derby. You know, luckily for the red card, who knows? Chelsea might have, got defeated yesterday, but 3 points, regardless of whatever it is, 3 points is 3 points. You play dirty, you play smooth, you play nice. They got the 3 points. Now,
Exactly.
what do you have to say about Lampard? What do you have to say about Lampard? Given all the money's being spent and he's still struggling.
Well, I would answer that question in so many facets. Actually, He's not the first manager who would spend outrageously, and still doesn't have a balance for such a team. He's not the first person to have it. I can remember Manchester United had that problem as well. So it's not an excuse. At some point, Arsenal also had the same thing. In fact, their most expensive player is one of their most useless players on the pitch.
Why are you throwing stones? Why are you throwing stones? Easy, man.
No, it's true. It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm not saying that it's the truth. No. You understand? So everything I'm throwing, either you see it as a banter, either you see it as a shit, coming out with my facts. And if you're going to counter me, then you come out with your facts. Now we know that Lampard has a problem with gelling, bringing this team to gel together. Now that problem is a Lampard problem.
Yeah, because that's his job. That's his job, man.
Yes, it's his job. That's a Lampard problem. Now it is left for him to sit back and drink every Panadol he has to take for his headache. He asked for these players and he was backed up with these players. So it's now his duty to do this because the team, the football club has backed him up. Now, if you are struggling with this kind of things as it stands presently, I am not actually surprised. If you are firing on all cylinders, I'll be very happy. But I'm happy this is happening so that the club has, his coaching staff have to sit back and rethink the whole process. It's not going to be an outright.
We're not seeing your face though. Saying all this, I don't know your face, but we can hear you. You can continue. We can hear you.
I don't see spending 200 million as a problem. Now, I would tackle that. Why I would say that is this. If we had a transfer market a season before this season, it would have been a good thing. We wouldn't be spending 200 million on players. But we didn't go
Yes, Chimamaka, I understand you. I understand what you're trying to say. I get, but you mentioned while starting on this topic, you mentioned that there is a club that has spent, that their richest player or their costliest player is not performing. That's a banter you threw. Now, Lampard has spent over £200 million bringing in 6
on different players.
On different players.
You are talking about one player.
And the striker doesn't even know how to hit the pole or hit the bar, not to even put the ball behind the net.
Yeah. I'm bitter about it. I feel very sad about that.
You should, man.
It's a very big problem. I'm not comparing 72 million to 200 million. 200 million or either 220 million. Either 220 million. He spent that on 6. He spent that on 6 players, not on 1 player. Now, if you have 6 of those players and you have 4 of them performing, you won't rule that you won't strike that out as an entire failure.
Well, that's fair. That would be fair. Yeah.
Exactly. So I wouldn't say that. Even those who he brought in on free transfers are performing. So you won't rule all that. You won't rule that all out. Now we have a striker who we know before this time was playing good football. He was scoring goals, banging in goals in Bundesliga. But he has come to the EPL and he's finding it difficult. Now let's not forget something in football. Most players, especially those who choose to improve in their gameplay, will actually improve at some point. Let's also remember that there is no striker in the EPL who has had it rosy for a full season, had a smooth ride all his stay in the EPL. It is that way. Now we are having that problem. It's now for us to find this whole thing out. I'll take you back to a session we had on our podcast when Damini was here, and he was actually on the Firmino case, and says the guy is not this, is not that, he's not this, is not that, he's not scoring goals. The truth is, Firmino has a part he plays in the team. He might not be scoring the goals, but at least we are saying that there is hunger for him to perform. And eventually that is bringing out and is getting out results. Either he scores, he doesn't score. The major thing is doing the job and doing a great job. I'll give you another instance. We saw the last World Cup and we saw the top striker for the France national team that won the World Cup didn't score one goal in that competition. And if I was,
that's another Chelsea player.
He played more than 90% of that entire game.
Okay, but so Chimamaka, these two players that you're comparing to Timo Werner, their primary assignment for those teams were not to score goals. Timo Werner was bought for 45 million pounds by Chelsea to come and bang him 20 plus.
No, listen. The job of a striker. Listen, the job of a striker. Either you are a layman or not. The job of a striker is to do what? Is to score goals. You don't have an excuse. Either you are laying passes.
Those two teams had different tactical setups.
What they will ask you is the goals you score, you're able to score. Now you are trying to talk about the impact that these players are having on the team. My striker presently might not be scoring goals, but at least he's making 1, 2, 3 assists. We are seeing the runs he's making. It only tells that he has his heart in the game. Eventually, it will key. That's the thing. He might be having a bad ride now, but eventually, it will come out good. It's normal for most strikers.
After 25 games, it's possible. It could turn out. Yeah.
I'm loving these sorts of jobs.
I'll come back for you.
Samiat, Frank Lampard wasn't impressed yesterday's game. Even after picking 3 points, he wasn't impressed.
Yeah, no. The Fulham had the game. They had the game. Let's not deceive ourselves. Chelsea got the point, but Fulham had the game, and they were lucky to get that. It's something they should go back to the drawing board and review. I don't know what's wrong with Lampard. Last season it was on fire. The team was okay. They were doing well. Well, you needed to improve. He overbought. That was Lampard's problem. He overbought. You needed to improve in some certain key spots. You needed a goalkeeper, you needed a central back. Just get the hot, but then we saw Timo Werner, we saw Lampard and the rest. And I think he overbought, and now he has a problem of how to play all of these players, and he's having a serious problem, and it's going to even be harder because of the amount of money I spent. I can't even count how many times we have brought up that particular amount on this.
222 million pounds.
It always goes back with 222 million. So he has to provide something for that money spent. He has to provide the result. He has to find a way to grind this result out. I don't know how it's going to look for him at the end of the season. If he does not make top 4, it's not going to look good at all. We are still being patient with Timo Werner. As Chimamaka has asked us, we are still being patient. So we'll wait and see. We are still waiting.
It will come alive, game week 25. It will come alive. But just to, buttress on what Samiat said, could it be, Lampard, this is the first time we'll be in the arms of affairs in a club of such magnitude like Chelsea, one of the top teams in England. Is it one of the mistakes that he would have to make? Because I feel his problem is balancing the team after buying so many. And Chelsea has so many players. Chimamaka also mentioned in our transfer updates episode that Chelsea had so many players that they will have to offload rather. Is it a problem of balancing? Is it a problem of picking the right mix that would carry out what he needs to do on the pitch?
Definitely. Look, it's a lot. It's a whole lot of problems. When Frank Lampard took over Chelsea, they had over 54 first-team players on loan. That's ridiculous for a top-flight team like Chelsea. But you know what? That's something that has been piling up over the years because they've got so many great players from the academy and players that have been bought from all over Europe who are good enough to get into the first team. But at the end of the day, it's the manager's choice on who gets to play, and then they still keep signing players. So what did Frank Lampard do? He came into Chelsea. He did not have access to the transfer window due to the existing ban. He brought in young players who he was aware about. That's why Jody Morris is his second in command. Jody Morris is someone who was in the Chelsea academy, who also coached some of these players. Mind you, Frank Lampard at Derby County had Fikayo Tomori and Mason Mount with him, and they did fantastic well at Derby County.
Sure.
Now, being at Derby County, he only spent one season. The year before, he just completed his coaching badges. So his first-hand experience and management was with Derby County, and they almost clinched a playoff place. They just lost it, So that was good in his first season, as far as I'm concerned. Came into Chelsea, had a brilliant blend of youth and experience. Top 4 finish, lost in the FA Cup final. That is good enough for a man in his second full season, and then his first season coaching a top flight team like Chelsea Football Club. Mind you, Chelsea Football Club, they are the 2012 Champions League winners. Chelsea is one of the best clubs in the modern day era. And for you to put that sort of pressure on a man who just recently got his coaching badges, I mean, that was a whole lot. And as far as I'm concerned, he did it fantastically. Now, this is what Lampard is learning on the job: how to gel world-class players together. You've got a Kai Havertz who has been tipped as the next Mesut Ozil. You've got a Timo Werner who banged in over 66 goals, in 100 appearances for RB Leipzig over a number of years. You've got a Thiago Silva who is a seasoned veteran. Who else? You've got his Hakim Ziyech, the Moroccan wizard, brought from Ajax. So he needs to find a way to make all these players gel. The same thing with Christian Pulisic. Now, I'll just let everyone know that, look, all these top players have not been fit at the same time for Lampard. So it's been difficult for him to actually get the right combination of players. You need to keep that in mind. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing which I have noticed is the fact that Frank Lampard actually makes the wrong decisions sometimes in terms of team selection for certain games and in terms of certain substitutions. For example, now, very simple. Take a look at the game against Arsenal where they lost 3-0. I wonder why he started Tammy Abraham form, scoring about 6 goals in 6 games, and then a striker like that, you leave him on the bench. That is a serious problem. He should not have done that. That was a huge problem. Another reason why he should have started Olivier Giroud is because of that centre-back pairing of Pablo Mari and Rob Holding. There was no way that Tammy Abraham was going to be as physically astute as Olivier Giroud, in my own opinion. So you put in an Olivier Giroud who knows how to bring in his teammates into the style of play, and then Olivier Giroud is a bully in the air. His physical prowess compared to those two centre-backs, with all due respect to Arsenal centre-backs, he would have commanded the game in the air. It's as simple as that. So that was a huge tactical error by Frank Lampard.
But it was a game that lost 3 points to the Arsenal.
You don't that, and then he went over to Stamford Bridge. Starting against Burnley, he started Olivier Giroud. You don't start Olivier Giroud against James Tarkowski. That's not going to happen. Olivier Giroud is not going to have a good game. You start a Timo Werner or a Tammy Abraham through the middle because these players have pace compared to the two Burnley centre backs. So also, just in the last game against Fulham, I believe Callum Hudson-Odoi should have started the game ahead of Christian Pulisic. Christian Pulisic has not been playing brilliant football since the back-to-back hamstring injuries. Since that first hamstring injury that he suffered against Arsenal in the FA Cup, Christian Pulisic has been struggling. So when do you get that you need to play the informed players? And when does Frank Lampard get that he needs to play the right players for the right games? But another question is, what is the backroom staff doing? If Lampard says, okay, these are the set of players that I want on the pitch, what is the backroom staff doing in terms of studying the opponent and knowing the right set of players to put on the pitch? It's not all down to Frank Lampard at the end of the day. Yes, he does make the final decision, but then there's a reason why he has a backroom staff. They need to do better as well. You can't put the blame solely on Frank Lampard. Now to my final fact is COVID-19. Kai Havertz suffered from COVID-19. If you listen to what Paul Pogba said after coming back from COVID, it was not easy to play the same way.
Everybody's going to lie on this COVID-19.
No, it's the truth. For athletes, the fact that they are recovering from that.
I'm just trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be funny. Sorry. Yeah.
So for Pogba, like he said, it was difficult for him to run on the pitch. Now think about someone like Havertz, who's just 21 years old, lacks upper body strength, and then with this blistering weather in England currently, it's going to be difficult for him. He's the first time away from home. Good for him. He knows how to speak English very well. He's got Tony Rudiger in the team. He's got Timo Werner in the team. That's very fine at the end of the day, but it's down to him as an individual. Also, he has not played enough games through the middle, just behind the striker. He has played more games on the wing. Yes, he can play these positions effectively, but we know that his best position is in the middle. Meanwhile, you have Mason Mount, you've got Hakim Ziyech there as well.
Yeah.
There are so many factors going on across So I'm not going to put the blame totally on Frank Lampard. However, he needs to get the right formula as soon as possible. Time is ticking.
Chimamaka, any last words on this topic? Because
I totally agree with you, but he has actually done a big time breakdown of the whole thing. The eventual will I call it an excuse for Lampard wouldn't be given solely to Lampard but his coaching staff. He has made some errors, as I stated. He has made some mistakes, as I stated. Bringing in or dropping an informed striker to play another striker who is struggling and the likes. And again, I realized in the past few games he has tried to build Timo Werner's confidence in front of goal, but he has not taken that advantage. We saw the Fulham game. He lost 2 clear-cut chances on goal. It only means Timo Werner has to go back to go and improve on himself. But there are some other positional changes that Frank Lampard has actually had issues with. He talked about the Pulisic coming back from hamstring injury and not being so fit. But we have Hudson-Odoi who also came back from an hamstring injury and is also playing beautifully. So he needs to know when to use these players and the kind of games. I believe he should be studying opponents before the matches. So you should know the kind of players they have, players is going to field for such kind of defense, for such kind of midfield, and for the kind of attack he's going to be playing. Yesterday, I was happy to see Rudiger play the game. It was a good one. We are happy about that. But as time goes by, we have the next match against Leicester City. As he should do his homework actually.
That's a good fixture. That's a good fixture to look at. Leicester City.
Yeah.
I think it's been nice doing this.
So that's it.
It's been nice doing this. I would have wanted us to discuss Liverpool, Manchester United. Probably we'll do that in another episode because time really is not on our side. But I don't know. Any last words on this episode before we call it off or call it a day?
Nah, I just wish Chelsea the best, but hopefully they don't click at all this season, So they could leave the top of positions for that team. I'm not going to mention names, but all the best to Chelsea.
I trying to say Arsenal. Please.
I'll ask one of the banter is both for Chelsea and Arsenal. He has shot both of us on the foot. So I don't know what he has to say now. So we are praying that Chelsea should drop. Are you praying for them to climb?
Samiat.
So no problem. Last word.
Yeah.
Let's just enjoy.
It's been a good episode. We're looking forward to the next episode again.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we start making our predictions again, because right now the whole game week is kind of confusing, haphazard. We don't know which is which, but we just look for a way to start making our predictions so that we can. Someone have to pay that forfeit, because I'm not going to do that all alone. Someone has to follow suit, definitely. But it's been nice doing this. Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'll cut you short. Yeah, the forfeit. You didn't do the forfeit. According to we, Council of the Elders, you did not do the forfeit. I'm saying this for all our fans to hear and listen to. Ehis did not do the forfeit, and God have mercy on him.
Yes. I know in our predictions. Yes. In the game with predictions, I came last. And you asked me to go on social media to tweet something about Mourinho, something positive about Mourinho, which I did. The post are there on Twitter, on Instagram. Okay, I guess you saw it.
That was not positive.
You saw it.
That was just a normal post by someone. It's not positive. In fact, exactly. God bless you. Now you're talking. So, bro, you didn't do it.
You guys should be happy that I'm even sitting on the fence. That I'm not on the.
Do something else.
Anyways.
Marcelo Bielsa.
That's next topic.
Anyways, it's been nice doing this on social media platform on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and also Spotify. You can choose the option you want to listen to our podcast, maybe via Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. You could also watch the video on YouTube, and also please subscribe on our YouTube channel. We will like that. Subscribe and press the notification button, and also follow us on Twitter and also on Instagram. From me, from the other guys, we say thank you very much. It's been nice doing this. Ciao.